Hey there, welcome to my weekly Animal Crossing New Horizons video. Instead of another island tour or a tutorial video, I decided that it's finally time to meet the villagers of Beachface Island. Well, at least a more thorough look at all of the cute little villagers on my island as well as their homes. Yes, I've finally given them all little yards of their own, so let's check them all out. First up is Stitches, a cute little cub species animal. This is his front yard that I made for him. It really has nothing to do with their personalities, all these yards. It's more excess furniture for my inventory that found better homes. Luckily, he is a lazy villager that loves snacks, so a barbecue and smoker seems appropriate. But anyway, first fun fact, even though I called him a little cub, he's actually one of the few villagers that's technically not an animal. He's a teddy bear, obviously. But the other special villagers that aren't truly animals are the robotic villagers Sprocket, Del, and Ribbot. I guess we can go over basic profile information. I mentioned that he's a lazy personality. His birthday is on February 10th, and his house has stayed pretty true over the course of the series, and it stayed with the kitty theme. But in this game, it seems to also mix in some simple wooden furniture as well too. So as we mess around in Stitch's house for a little while and kind of bother him and just kind of tinker with all of these things and grossly lay in his bed with shoes. So yeah, I'm not one of those people. If you can do that, you know, all power to you, but that's kind of nasty. But anyway, being honest right now, I recorded this video over the course of a week, and I'll just be cropping and splicing together footage of villagers and their homes. I'll try my best to stick to the neighborhoods of my game and kind of make it flowy or a really nice flow to it, but it's really tough to get every villager in their homes at the same time, especially Cherry, who's the last one on this block because she has the sisterly personality and they tend to wake up way later in the game. But moving on to the middle house, this is actually my newest villager who I invited through a Nook Smile Island, and it's one of the cutest dogs in their game, and her name is Cookie. So I just added a little pool and a Mrs. Flamingo in her front yard, nothing too special. So here's her house, and she's actually a peppy dog villager whose birthday is on June 18th. In New Horizons, her house seems to favor the cute series of furniture, and as you can hear, instead of DJ KK playing in the background, which she's actually on the cover of, the fan favorite Bubblegum KK is playing on her music player. Funny story. Last month, I had an open gate stream that was titled Chill with KK Slider. It ran for about 3-4 hours, and the most frequently requested song from all of the random people who visited my island over the course of the evening, it was nearly 50 people, 50, 60 people. Bubblegum KK was the most requested song, and it became almost comedic at how many times that song played throughout my stream. Anyway, just like Cookie, her house is very pink, and with that said, we'll move on to the next villager. We're skipping Cherry at the end of this block till the end of the video because I mentioned she was still asleep, and her routine pattern is so strange sometimes that I couldn't catch her at a convenient time to record, so we'll do her house lost. That came out so weird. Since we saw Bones earlier on the way to Cookie's house, we'll visit him next. And if you haven't noticed, I have a lot of dogs on my island. Besides the rabbits, they're my favorite species in this game. And referencing back to his outside area, he has one of the smallest plots because it's one of the coolest spots, that rhymed, which is literally steps away from the beach, so he gets a smaller piece of land just to be fair. Here we are inside his house though, and he too is a lazy villager, and as you meet more of my villagers, you'll notice the majority of my island has peppy and lazy villagers, which was really unintentional at first, but I guess those personalities just have the cutest animals or species to me. But my favorite or ultimate goal is to have at least 5 dogs on this island at some point, and in addition to the dogs, I hope to run into my favorite villager of all time, Meringue the Rhino. So she's my ultimate goal, my last piece that I need to make the perfect island. Well, my perfect island. So anyway, back to Bones. Just like Stitches, he loves snacks. He also loves bugs. His birthday is on August 4th, and looking at his house, it differs from series to series. There doesn't seem to be a particular style that he likes, but it seems that he favors the log furniture DIY recipes in this one. So he's doggy number 2, and doggy number 3 is Cherry, who we skipped till the end of the game. So going in order in this neighborhood right here, these 3 houses in a row, you'll see that it's afternoon now, and we're on our way to Sprinkle's house. Sprinkle is actually very near and dear to me because she was actually one of my original villagers in New Leaf. When you first start off in this game, you'll start to gain more traction towards having more villagers, and there's a silly little task that Tom Nook asks of you where you have to set up 3 plots for properties and then furnish the homes to attract new villagers. So in addition to Bones, Sprinkle was one of those 3, and I thought that was pretty awesome because it almost felt like she followed me from New Leaf. The 3rd villager was Flurry the hamster, but she's moved away since then. Going back to Sprinkle and her house, once again another peppy villager, and her birthday is on February 20th. I've seen Sprinkle's house differ differ from the one on my island because she usually has shelf furniture and frozen items, but since this was one of those weird early in-game task houses where you build furniture for the house, just like Bones, so his is probably way different too if you got him through another means, this one has the wooden block DIY set. So you've probably noticed that Felicity is in here right now, and she was actually quite a lot of trouble during this week of recording because I could never get her while she was inside her house. She was always visiting someone else or doing yoga in front of her house, but never inside. But with that said, I was finally able to catch her inside her house, and we'll head over there right now before she leaves. And this is the last house along this strip, so that will end this block. Her front yard has the original plot owner Flurry the hamster's outdoor request, which was a log table and bench, and I also added a DIY workbench to the left of her house for my convenience. And if you're new to this game, it's a very good idea to just leave them throughout your island, even the simple one which just looks like a plain old stump with tools on top of it, so you don't always have to run back to a certain spot, so you can actually just build things on the fly if you're near it. So as we check out Felicity's house, and personality wise, you've probably guessed it by now, she's a peppy villager as well, and she happens to be a cat. Looking at the theme of her house or the furniture of her house, there isn't a particular or specific furniture set. It's more of an outdoor theme, so you'll notice a garden faucet, iron furniture, a bird bath, and so on. Really unique. It almost reminds me of one of my themed rooms in New Leaf. Before we had the luxury of decorating and furnishing anything outside of our homes, a lot of us had to get clever in New Leaf and just make themed rooms, while I bet flowers and public work projects, as limited as they were, took over our villages. So New Horizons gave us all what we wish for, the ability to place furniture outside. With that said though, I feel that furniture sets that aren't DIY projects are lacking in this game, New Horizons, and I hope that's fixed soon because my home is getting a little bland, and I can't wait to get my hands on the Astro series of furniture or even the Sweet series of furniture, because who wouldn't want a dresser made out of a chocolate bar? Come on. Or a music player made out of a macaron? That's just crazy. But in short, we just need more variety in this game, and my furniture in my house kind of sucks. So we're moving on to the neighborhood on the hill, so these villagers are a bit more bougie. Just kidding. First up we have Snake, and he happens to be one of my originals from when I first arrived on this island, and he has a more zen-like yard. And for those of you who didn't know, Snake is actually a rabbit dressed as a ninja. His personality is hilariously a jock, so he's a tiny little workout dude who's always motivated, and a lot of people have their theories behind what his name actually means, some saying it pays homage to Solid Snake from Metal Gear. But my favorite theory that I've heard is that his name Snake is actually an anagram for sneak. So you just switch the letters around and it turns into sneak, right? Which reflects his ninja attire. And that makes a whole lot of sense. So I'm just going to keep going with that one. Anyway, Snake's birthday is on November 3rd. And his house is very, very simple. I don't even know what to call this theme. It's very simplistic, very minimalistic at the best. And he sleeps on a sleeping bag. So the only things added onto here was that little toy box I gave him. I gave him football and that little pennant flag. So besides those little things of color, his house is pretty dull and just really brown and wood. So really simple guy. I like Snake. He actually has grown on to become one of my favorite villagers in this game. And moving on to the next house is Carmen. She actually got kind of SOL with this spot because it's just next to the hill and it's just kind of weird. So she gets beautiful little flower arrangements and a bunch of shrubs, and a street lamp I guess is her own, and a rock. Yeah, you get a rock, Carmen. But her house is actually one of the coolest decorated inside. It has that pastel dotted floor, or whatever you call it, mint dotted floor. If you guys know the name of it, just let me know in the comments below because I'm too lazy to check it up on Google. But a fun fact about Carmen, in the original Animal Crossing game on the GameCube, her name was actually the name of a snooty mouse. And in City Folk, they introduced a new Carmen, who happens to be this, you've probably guessed it, a peppy rabbit. So that's another peppy villager to add to the list of peppy villagers on Beach Face Island. Might as well just name this Peppy Lazy Island. Her birthday is on January 6th, and she has a pretty awesome house. I'm jealous of her huge TV. I still haven't come across anything bigger than a 20-inch TV in this game, and you know, I just want to steal it from her. As we mess with her furniture a little bit, I'm pretty sure she's next on my who I'd allow to move out of my island list. And yeah, it's really sad, but I just have too many peppy villagers, and I'm hoping to find someone someone that I like, at least, who has a normal personality, quote unquote normal. I really don't like that phrase. But anyway, we'll be moving on to Marshall's house, and he was another bothersome villager who was never home at the right time while I was recording, but with the magic of editing and that cheap crossfade you saw earlier, he is home right now. Looking at Marshall's yard, there's a nice little corral fence surrounding it, a place for him to drink his coffee in the morning, and a nice little plant in the corner. So as we enter his home, Marshall is a smug squirrel villager, so yay, not peppy or lazy for once. And I made a coffee drinking area outside for him because, as you can see, his interior decorations revolve heavily around coffee, almost as if his house is a little coffee shop. And unfortunately for recording wise, this is the second villager working on a DIY project. As I've said multiple times, this was recorded over a span of several days at different times of the day, and sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, and you're just SOL when it comes to those things. Along with the barista or coffee shop theme, he does have some very high value items in his home, such as an upright piano and an open frame kitchen. So not as expensive as a snooty villager who sometimes rock grand pianos or harps and whatever in like the 6-digit bell figures. But Marshall does have a bit of expensive taste. You can tell he's smug, so it's not surprising in any way whatsoever. But I've looked at many lists of popular villagers, and Marshall always happens to be within the top 5 of all of those lists that I've seen, and a lot of times within the top 3. So proud to say, Marshall, you're on my island. You've been with me since New Leaf, and I'm glad you came back. And fun little in-game fact, if you look through a villager's dresser, closet, or even a refrigerator, because they act as closets, you can see what shirts or what clothes you've given them over time, so you can make sure you don't give them doubles of anything. Moving on to the next home, and it's kind of sad because this next house is the only one that's not a part of a neighborhood or a little block of houses, so my goal is to integrate and move this home at some point, and that house belongs to Hornsby. There's a nice little pond in front at least. So here's Hornsby, and he is a lazy villager, so add that one to the lazy list as well. But out of all the lazy villagers on my island, his house reflects the personality the best. First off, his birthday is on March 20th, and if you're wondering why I keep mentioning their birthdays, there's actually a bunch of people out there who love inviting or obtaining villagers with their same birthdays. So that little fact or tidbit is for those interested in birthdays. Back to his house though. There's trash everywhere, the wallpaper is torn, stacks of old magazines, and most of his items are on top of cardboard boxes, and he sleeps on a futon, so perfect depiction of a lazy villager. And he happens to be cleaning at this very moment, so it's very interesting. It's kind of like, what's the point, right? Thanks for the effort, Hornsby. You've always been a very interesting character in this game, very strange. But moving on to my last villager, it's actually one of my first villagers, one of the originals with Snake, who moved onto this island with me, and this is my third doggy. This is Cherry, a sisterly dog villager, and fun fact, she's actually fairly new to the series. I believe she was introduced in New Leaf, and she happens to be one of the more popular dogs. Cherry's birthday is on May 11th, so as of the upload date of this video, which is May 8th, that is in 3 days. I'm highly considering having an open gate stream on May 11th for all of those Cherry fans out there who just want to wish Cherry happy birthday. If that seems like a good idea, let me know in the comments below and I'll go through with it on May 11th. I mentioned earlier that she has a really late routine, so she's usually awake by 11 a.m. and she goes to sleep at 3 a.m. So it's kind of weird. When I was trying to record this, it was really hard to get her at home at the right time while I was recording, so I had to wait till the very last minute. As you can see, the date on this video is way later on in the week than April 30th, I think, when the first villager was recorded. But there are those rare days where she's up at 7 a.m. and she openly admits that it's weird when you talk to her, and she's like, I just have a lot of energy today. So I always found that interesting about Cherry. So her furniture is mostly wooden block furniture and nothing too special. She just likes that really colorful theme. And that's pretty much it for the villagers of Beach Face Island. I really appreciate that you all took the time out of your busy days to check out my video, and truly it really does mean a lot to a small channel like mine. If you really like this video, feel free to check out these other videos that have appeared by now, and if you really enjoyed hanging out with me today, please consider subscribing to be the first to know when I upload something new or go live. Thank you once again. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'll see you soon. Bye.